Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Johnny's Scrims. Sorry about the delay starting up. We had some technical difficulties, um, but I believe they're all sorted now, and we can get this underway. I am back once again, Maran, to host this, and today I have Donnie with me as my color caster.
Oh yeah, apologies for the delays. That's my fault. A couple of computer problems, but hopefully it's all kind of held together by a few strings, and hopefully it'll hold together for the rest of the match.
We
So
can only hope. Today, as you can see on your screens, we're bringing you Revamp versus Essence for what I believe is the final match of this entire league, apart from the finals, which will be happening soon enough, I believe. Um, so definitely going to be a fun match, and I just want to thank everyone for coming out and watching this series so far, and for showing up today at like short notice, even though most people didn't know the game was even happening today, including some of the staff. Um,
it
which is kind of interesting.
is an interesting time to have a game. I'm quite surprised, but
I mean, that's
oh
just
well.
how the teams lined up with each other. So, I mean, we're available to host it, so let's host it. Um,
Mhm.
Anyways, yeah, first map is going to be Nepal, Essence's choice, as they are higher seeded for today. Um, So once both teams are readied up here, we can actually get this underway. Nepal seems to be a very popular first map pick for every team, especially since this week is Lijiang for third map, so that means Lijiang isn't going to be first map, so or for fifth map, I mean. So um,
Yeah, Lijiang's one of my favorite maps. I'd love to see it played out, but I
well,
don't know.
let's see
It
if we get to
doesn't
map
look like
five.
a lot of yeah. It doesn't look like a lot of teams make it to map five. So I really hope this is what happens today. More
I mean,
content.
so far Revamp has been our five map team, going six maps actually in their first game against Jamul, and then just last week going all five as well against Renai Crew, who managed to pull out on top. Revamp, unfortunately, not being able to pull a win out of any of these long games. Um, but maybe they might be able to pull out a win today, even though they are coming in as the underdogs.
Hmm.
Anyway, as I said, we'll get this underway. Both teams looking to run a type of brawl comp here, Donnie, for this map. What do you think about that?
It's interesting the change they have. Well, the difference they have between team running a May and the other running a Junkrat. One team's gonna look to get really close, and the other team's looking to take a few more angles and get a lot more poke in before the actual engage.
Looks like we see here Essence going for a bit of a rotation out towards the elephant on coast side before engaging on the point, whereas the revamp side pushing it very, very aggressive here. Both main tanks are actually just waifu falling before, but not before getting a pick onto Mimikyu on that Mei, meaning it's even right now, but Essence are up the main tank. Flappy now, just trying to get a bit of DPS Lucio in here as the trap does land onto Misty, who just decides to ignore it and charge onto point as Toastman gets the kill, as well as Waifu arriving back on the point as well, but getting taken out immediately by Stainless. Both these Zaryas getting these kills. A very early observation matrix comes out from Niels here, or from Niels here. Does find a few kills, as we do see finally Essence are pulling ahead on the kill feed. Neither team have capped the point yet, and it looks like it's just Flappy left to contest this point for a little bit longer. Decides to back out for a second to speed boost Waifu in, who's just getting beamed down by a combination of Stainless and Misty here. And a nice fire strike on a Misty snipes Flappy out of the air as well. Finally, the point is capped by Essence after a long, long fight.
Yeah, exactly. And the long fight means that the Junkrat damage is going to go onto some of these bubbles, quite a few of the bubbles. And Stainless, as you can see, already has his ult much more earlier than Misty does, as well as being on high charge. That the slow burner of a Zarya charge really turned the fight in the end there for Essence.
We do see now, this time the rotation coming in from the high ground, but the early grab, as we discussed, comes out from Stainless, and Flappy is the first to follow that. Now Waifu with the nano boost goes for a shatter. Unfortunately, it is blocked by both Misty and Mimikyu there with the Mei wall, as now the high noon comes out from Humid. Unfortunately, can't quite find anyone, but does stop this Revamp side from pushing in, as Humid does push forward now, finds Waifu, and it looks like Toastman and the Cut as well, separated from their team, will be taken out, as now we do see Darchi pushing very aggressively in as this Lucio, trying to find some stagger picks. Looks like he can't find them though.
Yeah, I mean the grab coming out early was really good from Essence. They were able to cut off the main tanks in the team, and even though it took them fairly well to kill all of them, the ones that they brought down from the high ground, it does mean that they were staggered, and it has cost them quite a few percent on the point.
The rotation coming out from the entire side of Revamp here, apart from their Ana, going through main, looking for the kills on point. Mr. X finds 2 with the Riptide as well as taking out that Immortality Field, but we do also see that Ana is getting chased around the place. The peel is there though from Flappy, able to stop his Ana from getting killed by Humid, who is chasing him around the map. And meanwhile, the cut was just getting those kills on the point, and the point does turn there. Fairly convincing fight for Revamp.
I'm really surprised actually, because that was a very questionable play from Barak Kank. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Going up on the flank, it did take the Kree out of the fight, but the Junkrat tire managed to get off and take the pick, so I guess it played off.
Let's see what the opposite side decide to do here, as both the Mayult as well as the Amplification Matrix do come out from Niels and Mimikyu, but the counter ults are there, especially that Graviton Surge, looking for some extra picks. Can't quite find any until Waifu does find the pin onto Stainless, but Mimikyu as well finds Toastman, and it's just a brawl on point right now as Missy takes out Waifu, as well as Human getting 2 picks for himself onto both Mr. X and Flappy. Mr. X did find Mimikyu, but unfortunately not going to be enough, as Niels also takes out Barrett Kank, and that's going to be a cap for Essence once again. With 80% on the board, means there's probably only 1 fight left here.
And yeah, and Revamp's looking really low for their ults as well, so it's going to be a very tough fight for them as well.
Early high noon from Humid, as well as that pin from Waifu, or the pin from Missy does secure Waifu's death there, as now the rest of Essence are just brawling out. Humid finding 3 more kills for himself, as well as Mimikyu finding a pick, and Stainless finishing up, finding Barrett Kank on that Moira, and it looks like this first point is going to be for Essence fairly convincingly, only 50% almost for Revamp, 45% even.
I think Revamp really lost that point in the fight before. It was a really split. Essence were able to stick together really well, utilizing the brawl comp. Really late engage from Waifu meant that a few of his backline were already being pressured and killed just before he was able to get that kill on Stainless. And by the time he was able to get that kill on Stainless, they were run over. So a bit more presence and a bit more sticking together. Positioning would really help them out in this next map.
Well, right now for Village, we see both teams running kind of a point brawl comp. I believe the side of Essence are going to get the point first, especially with that Orisa as well as that Sim TP out of spawn, and trying to push down through main and take the point early, as the high ground is being taken over by Revamp as well. But those Sim turrets, as well as the double shield on point, is going to be very, very tricky for this Revamp side to push through. As we do see Waifu just standing at choke, hoping his team can get some picks onto some squishies, but falls very, very low. In fact, almost dying. He does eventually die. Immortality Field just too slow coming out there, as Mr. X goes in with the Maywall, tries to separate Misty from the rest of the team, does so successfully for a brief moment, but Human gets around the wall, finds a kill, and now we do see Essence pushing forward, getting out of that point just to find up some clean up kills, I should say, with only Toastman, I believe, living that fight.
And in that poke stage, it's going to be really hard for Revamp to get any kind of picks against 2 giant shields. That really early setup on point really secured them down as some kind of island fortress. They're going to have to go Revamp's going to go really quick.
Really early. Matrix here does come out from Niels, and thanks to that, Flappy does fall. Waifu did try to push past the Matrix, but unfortunately got killed in the process, as now Misty Fan is just pushing forward, finds the cut, as well as now going for a shatter. Unfortunately can't quite find anybody with it, as the entire side of Essence just pushing out super aggressive here. This is Revamp's chance to try and get a pick to push this next point. Unfortunately can't quite capitalize on it, as Essence now are starting to regroup, but Misty Fan decides to charge in, taking the opposing main tank off the map with him. But now this fight is even, although Stainless on the Orisa means they still have a main tank on the Essence side and can keep up this aggression. I do see the Mayult as well coming out from Mimikyu, was able to find the cut thanks to it, but now the Graviton Surge coming out onto Darchi. The TP is there though to try and get him out of the Graviton Surge, and does so successfully, but the Blizzard coming out from Mr. X is going to be enough to keep them in place, as Waifu and Toastman get back in and are able to clean up almost everybody from this Essence crew. It's only Misty Fan left on point after getting back from respawn, but he's going to die very, very quickly here, thanks to the surviving members of Revamp. And now we do see Tarchi as well, touching the point, wanting to stagger it out to 90% if he can. Can't quite make it, unfortunately. And finally, Revamp do take the point from Essence.
Very interesting, hyper-aggressive plays from Essence coming out there. I mean, pinning off the map, shattering when they're retreating. It's just kind of showing dominance, I guess. But maybe they're going for the psychological warfare tactics here. But it was some kind of questionable plays. Oh, they're going high
The
ground.
TP here onto the high ground does allow Misty Fan to land an absolutely massive shatter. The return shatter unfortunately can't quite find anybody as the beat drop from both sides does come out to try and keep those tanks alive. As now we just see the Ryans trying to brawl each other on point. Waifu's the first to fall thanks to Humid, as the cut takes out both the Bongo and the Immortality Field from the Essence side, as the Maywall as well comes out, separates the tanks from the point, or from the supports on point, as the cut does find some more kills, as well as Toastman cleaning up those supports, and the cut finding that final kill onto Mimikyu. And somehow, despite that massive shatter from Misty Fan, Revamp came back.
I mean, it's going to be really hard to push this point, especially with Symmetra. Symmetra and Zarya being slow burn heroes. They need to ramp up the longer the fight goes on, the more damage they're going to do. And this is going to be very tough when when Essence were running Narissa, because she doesn't have the kind of ramp up that Zarya does. So the longer the fight played out, the more it was in Revamp's favor.
Very well put there, Donny, and definitely couldn't agree more. But the switch has come out from Stainless this time onto the D.Va, just to try pressure that high ground maybe, and force this Revamp side to just be a little bit more disrupted, as now they are TPing down through main, hoping to get onto the point before overtime is forced. And the Maywall does come out, separates once again the tanks from the supports, but it's not going to be enough this time, as there is a gap in the wall and the Immortality Field can come out. But the Shatter does come out from Misty Fan once again, finding two, and Mimikyu as well as I can't remember who, did clean up quite well there. As Humid is what I was going to say. We're able to clean up those kills thanks to Mimikyu's Blizzard. The cut finding the only kill for his team, and it's not going to be enough, as I don't know if his team are going to be able to recontest this point on time. We do see the ball switch coming out from Toastman. Can touch point in time, but he actually touches too soon. He won't be able to force overtime. Someone else has to touch now. Looks like this May Mr. X was able to touch, and is now just freezing everybody on the Essence side, as that freeze does go through for multiple people now. But he's not going to be able to get any kills, and he does get taken out eventually by those Sim turrets from Humid. And it looks like the cut is going to be going down to the same fate pretty much. Stainless finding the final blow though, as now we just see Toastman stalling point as long as possible with that Wrecking Ball, trying to make sure his team can stay in this fight, but it's not going to be enough, as his team aren't quick enough to follow up on his contest there. And Essence are taking map 1.
A really nice play from Essence, getting that May Wall in early when they were doing their rotation. It just cut off their supports in their backline, as you said, and they were able to do a lot of damage that wasn't quite recoverable as they engaged in the brawl.
Nice.
And the point time after that was just, there wasn't just enough time to group up fully, so the fight was forced and Revamp at a major disadvantage towards the end there.
Definitely a pretty good fight overall between both sides, but just initially a better comp coming out from the Essence side, who were able to just hold on to the point for a lot longer, and I think probably would have actually held on to the point for the entire time if they didn't go so aggressive. But they had the confidence in their players and in their strategies to be able to retake that point, especially after switching to that D.Va, just to help a little bit with that mid-fight, fight, um, which is just,
Initiation was really important
yeah,
for D.Va.
D.Va's just much stronger, especially in initiating on neutral fights, than Orisa is. Orisa, once she's set up, she's pretty unbreakable, but Orisa's very, very bad at pushing, so that D.Va switch was pretty clutch for Essence to pull out that map and be able to retake. Still though, 99 to 99, I believe, so Revamp, they are here to play.
Absolutely, and it is looking promising. It looks like Revamp might be ramping up for the long term of the game. I know my team especially, we suffer quite badly on our first match, but we really take it back. So I think this is what's going to be happening. The fights are going to be really close. At
Yeah,
least I
map
hope so.
1 is just the warm-up map for Revamp. As you say, they are ramping up, which, I mean, oh, puns. Um, anyways, we'll be heading on over now to Havana, which is a very, very sniper-heavy map. Um, and honestly, the player I want to see most pop off here is Niels, who I'm hoping to see play Zenyatta and just frag. Because we've seen Niels pop off on Zenyatta so many times in this league, and his Zen is so scary to deal with, even for the likes of a Widowmaker. In fact, especially for a Widowmaker, since Zenyatta doesn't have any damage fall off, so he's one hell of a sniper.
I mean, I'll have to certainly pay attention to that. I mean, you have really built up this player. I mean, I did see him before, of course, but yeah, I will take a look at that and watch if the DPS from Revamp can stand up to the
Although,
dominating Zenyatta.
speaking of snipers, we did see last week Mr. X popping off with Sniper Junkrat on King's Row, and I am very curious to see if they try to play that strategy again here on Havana, because it did extraordinarily well for them, um, being able to win out that map, I believe. And it was just such an incredibly
Right.
strange but clutch play. It looks like he's going over to the Hanzo instead, though, which I'm fairly disappointed with. But as expected, Niels is on that Zenyatta, so definitely I can't wait to see him pop off.
I mean, Hanzo is going to be banging to the ranges of this map a lot more than a Junkrat should. I say should because there's going to be all kinds of things that happen, as you've mentioned. But Hanzo can really play to the long sight lines. If you take a look at the roads here in the alleyways, um, you could just see how much range Hanzo gets to play with. Uh, oh,
We see a
a
lot of switches around
switch.
coming through from this Essence side. Deciding to take out the double shield with the double dive DPS. Actually, no, it's switching over to double sniper now. Niels unfortunately switching off the Zenyatta onto that Baptiste, just providing a little bit more utility and a bit more healing for his team. So have on board one of these snipers, hopefully. Except my game went to the wrong location entirely. See if the cut can find a headshot here. It's going to be very difficult behind that Arista shield as well. Humid able to find the kill because the cut just didn't have a shield in front of him. But Humid did, as Misty Fan is just spazzing out on payload, shooting all over the place.
Oh, the
Doubt he found a single
dominance.
hit reg. As the contest does come through from Toastman, but the support isn't there as he's just absolutely slaughtered as soon as he touches the point. And it looks like this first point is going to be smooth sailing for this Essence side, who are just pushing along with their tanks, pushing out forward with the double shield.
I mean, Misty being very confident there in the support he gets from Humid, just getting those clean pick. Oh, just take a look at
Humid
that.
with the double kill. Definitely have to hop on with his POV a little bit more here. As he's pushing in once again very aggressively, looking for that Ash pick, and he finds it, the cut falling down as well. That's a 3k for Humid for that fight, and he's not done yet either. He's looking for another kill now onto Mr. X this time, and he finds the body shot, and Mimikyu also finds the body shot at the exact same time, and Mr. X goes down, and now Humid looking for the headshot to Toastman, but once again the body shots from both snipers isn't enough to take him out from half HP as well. Saw both DPS there just mailing each other on the high ground.
Is this
So,
a switch from Revamp onto Brawl? Sorry, I can't remember if they were on Brawl before.
I think they're running a similar comp. The Ryan is a change though. The Ryan's is a change up. As now Missy pushing very aggressive here, looking for an early pick, and Mimikyu finds the first, but thanks to that pull, Darchi finding a second onto Flappy. As now we do see these tanks pushing in super aggressive onto this Revamp side as well. That Dragon backing them up. As Barrett does get caught, not able to escape. As now Mr. X trying to find a pick with that Hanzo onto Stainless, but he can't quite find it. The heal and the peel is there from Darchi, and Mr. X falls to that rock.
I mean, having one shield and pushing into that open room with two windows was going to be really tough, especially as soon as he takes his shield down, people are going to start dying. The shield can't cover the whole map, and the DPS are really able to capitalize on that.
These positionings from this Essence side are so aggressive, but they seem to be working very well for them, as Humid is able to just pop off for most of the time, finally getting pressured by Toastman on the Zarya, but the healing is there once again from Niels, who uses Application Matrix to get a little bit more healing onto his tanks, as well as a bit more damage onto the enemy Zarya, as well as Tracer, as Humid gets them both. And I've never seen play quite as aggressive as this on this map, especially for this second point, holding kind of outside their third point spawn, but only halfway through second point, and they end up capping second point with 5 minutes on the clock.
Being holding really aggressive there is just given the, as you said, the snipers a chance to take off these weird angles that you're not going to normally expect from a team, and it's going to make it really tough the for Revamp to recontest onto that point. They could just have Darchi on the point, just slowly pushing it forwards, while they are struggling to get out of spawn.
Human there did find a
Very
headshot
clever.
onto Mr. X, but unfortunately, with the new Widow nerfs, the damage drop-off is just too much for the kill to come through.
Hmm.
Still, though, a very, very nice position, and it means nobody can take that high ground that is so nice for these defenders, because Human is just too threatening on that Widowmaker. As Mimikyu does find a pick now onto Flappy as well, as the shadow comes out. It is huge from Waifu, but there's no damage follow-up, as the DPS on this Revamp side are just too afraid to peek, and rightfully so, as Mimikyu takes out the cut as well. And now we do see as well Human going for a grapple shot, does take out that Immortality Field, as the Grab Center Surge does come through as well from Toastman. And with the Dragon following up as well, finds 2 kills onto both the supports on this Essence side, and it looks like finally Revamp are able to restabilize and win a team fight for themselves.
Hmm.
Although a lot of ultimates used.
Yeah, everyone being really scared, yeah, as you said, of the sniper sightlines, but also the Brigitte Darchi was able to stop himself from being shattered and really contest that Reinhardt with loads of CC to stop him from following up on the kills. Waifu from following up on the kills. But it was a very good shatter and good follow up
An
after.
early pick now out of Mr. X. Onto Neil's SSVH does secure probably a one team fight once again for this Revamp side, as Misty Fan does fall very, very shortly after. As now we do see Waifu as well charging in very, very aggressive. Does find the pin onto Stainless and follow up with the kill. Almost gets a boop onto Mimikyu, but the follow up damage is there from Toastman instead. He was able to find the kill onto both Mimikyu and Darchi on that Brigida. And it looks like finally this Revamp side are definitely stabilizing and playing this much, much better now.
Yeah, it was really tough, and I was about to say Arissa, without the setup on the cart, without that forward aggression, holding those good positions, holding space, as you said earlier in the previous match, was really good for Arissa, but it's going to be really tough to retake, so they switched onto the Reinhardt here. Misty on Reinhardt.
A nice lift does come out from Stainless, but unfortunately the beat is there to keep this Revamp defending side alive, as Waifu finds 3 kills. That Amplification Matrix getting a double kill, but Humid as well is actually popping off. He found 2 so far, he's looking for more. He might be able to find Barrett Kank, but looks like can't quite find it as the cut. Does find the headshot as well. A very nice shot, as he was grappling up in the air as well. Barrett Kank forced to use Immortality Field, keep himself alive on the payload. Not going to be lasting very long though, as this respawns from Essence are coming through very, very quickly and are able to restabilize and begin this push once again. But now the early rally does come out from Darchi as well, as Waifu looking for that pin, finds it, but the Immortality Field comes out as well onto Misty Fan, who's able to stay alive and find the kill onto Waifu thanks to Stainless' help as well. And now it's once again these tanks just pushing up super, super aggressive, as Misty decides to try to push those DPS off the high ground. Humid as well, finding the cut, helps his team out, as the sides are there as well. So this entire side of Essence are able to see where the enemies are coming out of which spawn door, as well as just these tanks just brawling on point. And it looks like that Ryan Sigma just has more damage than that Zarya ball, especially since that Zarya's been dead for so long. Didn't have a chance to build up any charge, and Humid once again popping off finds the cut once again coming out of spawn. And that's a fairly, apart from that last point, a very dominating performance for Essence, and even that last fight was once again very dominating for Essence. But a very nice
Hmm.
hold for 4 minutes, pretty much, out of Revamp on this third point, which is very impressive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Essence was really taking that tempo, really being riding on those picks with humid sniper, just coming out with all those picks and then able to take capitalize on that by holding aggressive positioning. The tempo really in Essence's favor because of those. Um, but as you saw on the last point here, they were Revamp was able to take back the tempo of the fight and halt the advance of Essence on that key defining corner that I really struggled to play with on competitive. And on that very last fight, Darchi popping out the Brigitte ult, giving nice and early in the fight before Revamp had a chance to properly regroup, being staggered from the previous fight before. The hyper aggressive plays from Essence again in the very last segment just meant that they could stop the regroup and stop them from taking positions.
Looks like this Essence side now once again copying what we saw out of both sides last week or earlier in the week, running this spawn camp, but this time running the pharmacy instead of running like a May to do the spawn camping with, as both sides are just going to be brawling right outside the spawn doors. Mr. X on the Reaper as well, going to want to be pushing right into Misty Fan and hopefully to be able to take him out as early as possible, as now the counter charge does come out as well. Waifu and Misty Fan both on the floor, as the cut as well finds an early pick onto Mimikyu, as Darchi actually does find a pick onto the cut after whipping out the Glock, losing his mercy, and it's just Stainless trying to survive on point. Human getting a nice flashbang as well, stopping Waifu from finding the kill onto Stainless, but not going to prevent it for long enough, as now it's just Niels on point, stalling for a little bit longer. Did get a nice anti-nade, a nice sleep onto Mr. X as well, but unfortunately not going to be enough, as the team are able to just dominate that fight, and Revamp able to push on through here.
Yeah, Fire plays to a really slow play style, very much poking the enemy, trying to get them very nice and squishy before they can be engaged by the enemy team. But sorry, the pharmacy went behind, took a wrong angle, and they weren't really present in the fight, and Revamp able to just run over them.
The high noon coming out from Humid does find Barrett Kank there, who unfortunately got his immortality field killed just beforehand. And now Stainless as well, pushing forward off that pick, and is able to clean up these kills. It looks like Toastman trying to do the same for his team, but he's on his own, and he's not quite been taken out just yet. His bubble keeping him alive for a little bit longer, but he might get staggered here really, really badly. He does indeed. And it looks like Revamp are going to have to wait for a little bit longer, although the cut does find a fadeaway kill onto Darchi as well, but that Lucy's going to get back pretty quickly. Although the cut still playing very aggressive once more. This time just spamming shields right now. As we did see as well, Mr. X switching over off the Reaper onto the hand zone instead, is now the cut. Notices the Doomfist going behind, keeps an eye out and starts pressuring that Doomfist, forcing him off the high ground, as the Graviton Surge does come out in the front line as well from Stainless, and Waifu falling very, very low there thanks to that anti-nade as well, and the Shatter finishing him off as well as Flappy. Misty Fan getting another massive Shatter, as we saw getting earlier as well in the previous maps. As an even fight so far, the cut popping off, and it looks like Toastman is the only one on payload though. Does find Mimikyu, who charged in a little bit too aggressively there, since that Zarya had a bubble to keep himself alive, but Humid doesn't want to go down without a fight. Does find the pick onto Toastman as well. Looking for more. Flappy though finding Darchi. It looks like Humid is on his own, is stuck behind enemy lines, and Bert Kank finds that kill. The high noon now coming out from the cut on the opposite side. Can't quite find a kill, but Mr. X does find the kill onto Misty Fan instead. As the recontest is coming through from this Doomfist Mimikyu, as well as Stainless on that Zarya, who's very, very high charge at this point in time, but unfortunately that's not going to do anything for her, as she's taken out by Mr. X, who's just popping off in his hands right now, finds 3, the cut finding that 4th as well. Finally this point is being turned over for this Revamp fight side, and that fight is over.
Yeah, a very interesting first push by Revamp, going without their Zarya, but they were managed to push back by Essence were managing to push them back, but the DPS and the supports able to get out of that grab and come in playing for the long fight. When Essence lose their positioning, the picks coming out and the point going to
Dragon coming out very early there from Mr. X, does find a pick as well onto Darchi on that Lucio, as Niels is the second to fall as well. Humid and Stainless though, once again being the clutch heroes for their team, able to get a couple kills for themselves and find another one. Mr. X now, a lot of pressure on him to try and find these kills. He's doing very, very well. Barrett Kang now backing him up as well, finds Humid, and finally, once again, this team fight has been carried, I believe, by Mr. X and Toastman, who've been MVPs so far for their team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the same thing happened with the previous point. It wasn't so much of a strong push that won Revamp the fight, rather than the ability for the off angles to come out and Mr. X to get value from the spacing.
Early high noon coming out from Humid, does find Toastman, who, as I said, is an integral member for this Revamp side, but Mr. X still living, does find a headshot as well onto Stainless, but can't quite find any kills, as Humid can on the payload here, does find 2 for himself, followed up by Mimikyu finding Barrett Kank as well. It looks like Mr. X and Flappy just trying to run away here. Mr. X is taken out though in the process, and just Flappy able to escape there thanks to that speed from Lucio. And it looks like Essence able to stabilize here.
Yeah, the front line of Revamp being really run over in that last fight, and this really forced everyone else to start retreating, leaving the tanks alone. Toastman going down, then Waifu follow.
Revamp deciding to rotate around left side, take the higher ground, but another massive shatter comes out once again, followed by the Grav, kind of unnecessarily. Misty Fan seems to be able to only land 5-man shatters, and unfortunately Waifu not able to block a single one of them. like Misty's just been popping off in a bit of a main tank diff here. So we'll hopefully be able to see Waifu getting similar value out of his shatter now in this next fight.
He's got a lot to make up for.
Grappling Surge coming out very, very early, followed up by the Dragon. Is it going to be able to find any kills though? Yes, it can onto Niels, but the DPS on the opposite side, as well as Stainless, able to find a ton of kills here. Mimikyu finding 3, I believe, and once again, it's just Flappy to try and escape.
Both support ults coming out in that as a defense. The damage that the dragon pushed off was blocked by the immo, and the rest of the damage was carried through from Niels' window. The Darchi pulling out the heals that kept the team alive afterwards as well.
Now though, Waifu does have the shatter available and is going to have to land a big one if they want a lot of value out of this. But he's got booped off the high ground thanks to a counter pin between Mimikyu and that Ryan, but the shatter does come through as well. Finds Misty and the kill does come through as well. But unfortunately, it might not be enough as there's kills coming through from both sides here. Misty Fan does fall as well to Waifu, and now Stainless does find a kill onto Toastman, but he's going to get probably taken out by Waifu in the pale. Never mind, Stainless able to turn it around thanks to the heals from Niels there. And it looks like Essence are going to be able to stabilize once again. 15 seconds left on the clock. It's going to be very, very tricky for anybody on this Revamp attacking side to even touch the point on time.
Stainless building up his grab as well really quickly. The damage is really helping him from being on high charge. And he might be coming out this fight.
Early High Noon out of Humid. Looking to try find one kill. He might be able to find it thanks to the cut popping High Noon as well. Can't quite get it as the beat drop does come through as well from Flappy. Neither High Noon is actually finding any kills there. As Mimikyu now diving in onto the payload with Stainless taking these off angles on the high ground, but the shatter once is actually stopped this time from Misty Fan, although the cut does get taken out, and now Mimikyu just cleaning up after that grab from Stainless. Stainless unfortunately not be able to stay alive for his own grab, as we see Misty Fan just emoting in that dragon, confident that his team can kill Mr. X on time, and deciding to take up the hammer himself and finding that final blow, in essence taking that map for themselves as well. A very dominating performance, I must say.
Essence being able to keep hold of loads of ults and use them at the appropriate times. In that last fight, they had a lot stronger of an advantage. Stainless was able to get his grab, and he was able to find quite a few picks with it as well.
This is that massive shatter that I think that grab just wasn't necessary for, because I think that was a 6-man shatter right there. No, 5-man, because Mr. X wasn't with the team. But even so, as I was saying, Misty just
coming out so quickly.
Yeah, Misty coming out clutch with these shatters in both these maps so far. Not just here on Havana, definitely popping off some massive shatters on Nepal as well, as we head into what could possibly be the final map unless Revamp can reverse sweep. Essence definitely looking extremely strong though so far, especially once again Humid able to pop off so hard on the Widowmaker, and then Mimikyu as that Doomfist just kind of carrying that defense. Now, with that said, everybody on Essence did very, very well there, as expected. And definitely, once again, Toastman and Mr. X, I believe, did put their team on their back for quite a few fights, especially on that attack.
Yeah, it was quite tough for them to to fight against Essence, because Essence was really strong in able to rescue Misty. Misty going in really deep with a misplay of the pin, trying to get the other Reinhardt when there was a Doomfist clash. I'm going to put us in the next game. But the everyone throwing in the resources to save that Reinhardt, even though the Reinhardt did go down, everyone was able to get into the fight because Revamp was focusing on killing a Reinhardt who was being pumped resources into him. He wasn't dying quick enough for Revamp to be able to focus on targets after the Reinhardt. Essence again able to set up the Doomfist, and I think the Zarya as well on the high grounds. Baptiste certainly able to use those advantages from having the high grounds as well. Doomfist going in for the plays wherever he could go to. A lot more options to play from.
Yeah, definitely. The Essence side did make great use of those high grounds that they had easy access to on the defense, as well as just Stainless being such high charge because of Misty's hyper aggressive plays, that Niels was somehow able to pocket and keep Misty up for a very, very long time, or at least long enough for Misty to get, or for Stainless to get to 100 energy and just pop off that way.